You've been known by many as the sports guru, the Black Swab. So really, man, it's been a lot of conversation about just the best players in Chicago, Roosevelt, Central, football, basketball. So what I want to get from you is I want to start with football first. Because as you know, basketball is real big in EC. So let's start off with football, and just give me your perspective on best players from each position. Is one or two players, and then your best overall player that you ever seen during your time of watching sports.
Um, let's start with football. Well,
Quarterback.
quarterback. When I was at, I won't speak on my era because the football program wasn't at nearly as productive as it eventually became at Central. It was a basketball school. Like at the first year of Central, when I went there, and my years at Roosevelt, it was more about basketball. But if I'm going to speak on football, I'll have to go to the EC Central era. The best quarterback that I saw, um, talent wise, I'm gonna say Eric Irvin because I didn't see very many quarterbacks. It was more about the running backs and the position receivers who really stood out. But Eric Irvin had one of the strongest arms that I saw on a kid growing up. I used to call him Cunningham because his throwing motion was exactly like Randall Cunningham, and he could really get the ball down the field, and then he could run with it too.
Yeah.
And I watched Central High School football over the years, and I didn't see a quarterback that had the arm strength that he had. And I think probably at the younger stages, that's something that they'll look for because as far as mechanics and things like that, they won't hone in on those skills until you get to the next level. In high school, it's more about your athletic ability. A quarterback won't be good in high school because he can read defenses or something like that. He's going to be good because he can throw the ball down the field or he can just tuck it in and take off and run with it.
So where do Keon Frazier fit in that? Marcus Reeves, the John Masseys, the Bob Gillis type quarterbacks fit in?
Those guys, I really didn't really, I can't really tell you a whole lot about them because when I went to the games during those eras, they weren't the ones that I was really watching. I paid more attention to the running backs and the receivers. I've heard a lot about Keon Frazier, but I can't really speak to Keon Frazier because I didn't zero in on him when the few times that I went and watched Central play during his era. I heard that he was good though. I heard that he was really good, and he got a scholarship. Marcus Reeves, another one that I got to see briefly, really didn't hone in on what he was doing, but he was a pretty good quarterback too. And of course, he got a chance. He got a scholarship offer to go play Division I college football, and that says a lot. If a Division I program is scouting you and they see something in you to the point to where they offer you a scholarship, then there definitely has to be something there.
Okay, so as of right now, you're saying the best quarterback was Woods?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Running back is huge. As you know, Martell France, Royce Robertson, Willie Collins, Sam Daniels. I mean, I can go on. Dante Smith. All them guys been named, but who's the best to you?
Martell France.
Why?
Um, Size, natural ability, power, speed. He was the prototype running back. I think he was about 205 his senior year. From what I was told, he had like 4.3 speed. Now, a lot of people don't know this, and I used to play with Martell France when I was younger, and he was a lot younger. And I saw Martell France play football. I helped him develop as a football player when he was a really little kid. And this is a true story. He'll vouch for me on this. But when I saw him at EC Central, I was blown away, but not surprised, because Martell France, at the age of about 5 or 6, was already rock solid. I mean, all of this was his arms and stuff. He was already developed, but that had a lot to do with his bloodline, because a lot of the McGee's, which is his mom's side of the family, a lot of them were really, really built without even touching weights. But I saw him as a runner, and he just overpowered people. It just seemed like he was a man among boys when he was out there. You know, he had the speed to get in the open field and make people get small, and then he could run through people. Martell France reminds me of how Adrian Peterson is today. Royce Roberson I got to see a little bit of because he was on that team, but he wasn't the featured back. So that next year he became the featured back, and I think I may have saw him play once or twice, but you know, I remember he had really good stats, and of course he got a scholarship to go to the University of Wisconsin, and they had one of the best programs in the country at that time. And that, I think he was there during the time when they made it to the Rose Bowl.
Okay. Fullback.
Who's holding the camera? My man Carl Biddings, Big B. Could catch the ball out the backfield, had decent speed, but you know, could just run people over. You know, you couldn't send a smaller guy to tackle him. You know, he had to be gang tackled a lot because he was, as a running back, he was one of the bigger guys on the field, and he was really strong. And he probably would tell people he got strong from lifting weights, but that's not the truth, though. That's just in his DNA. He was strong the first time he picked up a spoon and started eating. He realized how strong he was. But I think Carl Biddings was the best fullback that I saw, and he was probably the only featured fullback that I saw where they used him to carry the ball, where he did the bulk of the running. You know, he was actually like a tailback at the same time, but he was used as a fullback who carried the ball a lot like Earl Campbell was back in his day, a really big guy that used to run people over, but at the same time, he was the featured back in the offense.
Wide receiver.
I watched the previous interviews, and I heard a lot of talk. I saw Antoine Bullard play. Antoine Bullard was really good, but I have to go with Keon Jackson. Keon Jackson had unbelievable athletic ability, and I also have known Keon Jackson since he was a really small kid. I watched Keon play. Keon not only was a great wide receiver, but he was also a great defensive back. But just his quickness and just his ball skills and his hands, I mean, he had the whole package. And of course, someone recognized him because he was offered a Division I scholarship, and he eventually went on and had a very successful career playing Division I ball. I think it was at the was University of Toledo that he went to.
Toledo.
Yeah, and I got a chance to see him play on television a few times. Hate that he didn't make it to the next level, but I'm sure that, you know, he's doing okay because he's a good kid, got a good head on his shoulders.